question completely on a tangent to finish. Do you have a book that you would recommend anyone to read? One that's like had a real impact on your life? It doesn't, obviously not a Bitcoin book, just anything.
I think that if you have copious free time, there are two histories. Either read The Story of Civilization, which is Will Durant's history, and it's like 11 volumes, maybe 12 to 15,000 pages. Start at the beginning, go to the end. Might take you a few hundred hours. You can listen to it in audio form, or you can read it. Read it if you can, because there's a lot of graphic images in it. I think that it's a balanced history of the world. I used to think it's comprehensive, and I realized, no, it's a summary of the history of the world. But compared to what you studied in school, you probably got the Cliff Notes, and this was just a intellectually responsible summary. And so I would do that, because if you read the history of the world, the Asian histories, Middle East, European histories, American histories, you'll have 1,000 examples of civilizations rising and falling, maybe 10,000 examples, and you'll see certain themes over and over again, but it will immunize you or inoculate you against falling for, the latest new idea du jour, the new thing, or faddishness. And I think that's very helpful. It gives you wisdom. And I think, and for the Bitcoin community in specific, I think it's also instructive to read Murray Rothbard's histories, right? Murray Rothbard wrote, a history of economic thought, right? Or Conceived in Liberty, all of those volumes. I think Rothbard wrote pretty comprehensive economic histories, and he tells you the history of economic intervention, political intervention, monetary intervention, and it's very helpful to read that, because I think people are manipulated by the idea du jour, and people are always they're always constructing some bromide or some simplistic idea, like, well, this represents this, or this is the first time this has happened, or this happened for the first time, and and they act like there's some righteous indignation, or like for example, 1971, we went off the gold standard. Well, let me tell you a secret. Like, we went off the gold standard 10,000 times in the history of the world. In fact, every single society, in Russia, all 200 German principalities, they all went off the gold standard, right? The example of currency debasement is as old as we have written history. If you go back and you read Rothbard's histories, what's fascinating is he points out that every 20 years or every 30 years in the Massachusetts Bay Colony from 1650 through the Revolution, some politician decided it was a good idea to print money and go fight a war and invade Canada. And they would all issue a bunch of credit, and then they would go invade Canada. They would lose, come back, and then they would default on their obligations, and they had hyperinflation.